Welcome to the very first video of this year, 2021. I hope you had a good new year and we're looking forward to a hopeful year of 2021, which I will start with a video on the rule of law in China, meaning all the legislation, all the rules and regulations that China is putting out there in Q1 2021 that will impact China for the many years to come. Next week, I'm going to talk about another very interesting topic. It's going to be about sustainability and how 2021 will actually be a very big change for China and the start of a new sustainable society. So do subscribe to my channel so you can follow all these trends coming up in the next weeks. I would like to now talk a little bit about something very different. It's about closing this gap, not just between people, but also between the industries and between the government. And this is something different that is happening. And this is what we call the rule of law that is starting to take shape in China. Now, if we say rule of law, a lot of people say, well, China has no rule of law. And it would be a mistake to believe that China has no legislation and no power to actually create a difference from a legal point of view. Actually, there's a lot of things happening. And I call this the good police. And it's maybe a strange term, but this is really how China is trying to change the society internal by creating more regulations and laws. We've seen it in 2020 happening quickly with, for example, Ant Financial, which was blocked to do their IPO just 2 days before going public. And this had everything to do with protecting consumers, that they were worried that with these loans that they would get, P2P loans, that Ant Financial was not abiding to the regulations that the banks had. And so the banks had different regulations than Ant. And Ant Financial said, yeah, but we're a technology company. Of course, we have different regulations because we see the world differently. Well, Beijing said no. And so it means that Ant now has to adapt to the regulation, not the regulation to Ant. And so that is the new story of China today. It's all about creating a lot of regulations to make sure that it's more fair play for all the parties involved in one industry. And this is not just about finance, but finance is an important one. It's about every possible industry. Specifically, the food industry is very critical because they want high quality of food. They don't want to have problems with food quality because that we saw what happened with that in 2020. Healthcare industry, there's the pharma industry. I mean, all these things that are like industry regulation is becoming a lot more strict. Think about clean tech and environment. And so lots of factories in China, whether it's Chinese or Western, they have to abide now to the same regulation, which is stricter and stricter. And it's becoming a little bit similar to Europe. And that's something we're not used to in China because we often felt that this was an unfair advantage that the Chinese companies had against Western companies. Now that level playing field is leveling out now. And that is 2021. A lot of regulations, a lot of laws are just starting in the next months to come. One of the biggest laws that will be active is in the beginning of this year is the cybersecurity law. It used to be a regulation since 2018, so already for 2 years. But now it's actually going to become a real law, which means that companies, tech companies or any company using data, specifically in the healthcare industry, they will have to, or insurance industry, they will have to actually take care of the data and make sure that data is protected, is well managed, is not shared, is owned by the people, not by the companies. And so this is changing completely the perception and how Chinese are going to deal with data. And so this cybersecurity law is very similar to GDPR. So saying that China has an advantage because they don't care about privacy, that's something of the past. Today, we're at the same level playing field as China when it comes to privacy. So that is also something we will have to get used to. The other thing is the anti-monopoly law. So as you can see, lots of laws, antitrust law. Just like in the US, do we need to break up Google and Facebook and Amazon? That's the big question these days. China, same debate is happening. Big difference is that it's not so much about breaking up these companies. It's more about making sure that these companies don't use their power to limit any other company to succeed. This was a little bit what Facebook did with Instagram, and then they bought Instagram. Well, in China, this happens on a daily basis. Well, most tech companies, Alibaba, Tencent, Meituan, ByteDance with TikTok, all of these companies are not playing fair towards their competitors because they are blocking out consumers to be on other platforms if they're also their consumers. And so this will go away. And this will help specifically entrepreneurs and scale-ups to grow faster because somehow it's going to be more fair. One of the other laws that is happening is the patent law. And we often talk about Chinese stealing this IP from the rest of the world. Specifically, Trump was saying Chinese has stolen all their technology from the US. Well, there was already a patent law and IP law many years ago, and it's actually one of the best laws that has been written, so it's definitely very good. But it's now renewed, and it took about 14 years to create that new law, and now it's really much more according to the international patent law in itself. Now, if you look at the last years, most of the lawsuits in China from foreign companies have been, foreign companies have been winning a lot of lawsuits. So it's not that it's not completely fair. The problem is often that the execution of the law isn't always as good as in the West, specifically in the remote areas, and also the penalties were not so big. And these two things is something within this new patent law which should be a lot better. So it's going to be a lot more expensive to actually copy someone else and get away with it. So that's not going to be so easy. Big change for China, but this is what they need if they want to continue doing international business. The last law that is happening is one which is called the civil law. And this is for the first time that China has really an extensive civil law. And this is to protect consumers, to protect people for their property, protect them from having a better regulation on marriage and divorce, also the inheritance and things like that. So a lot of these laws which weren't in place before that, and we often forget that China hasn't had so much time. There's only 20 years since WTO entry that they started creating most of these laws, and now they're getting into place. So what will happen is, because all of these laws, so that's a lot of it, a lot of regulation and laws that are getting out there early 2021, is that China is going to start creating an environment which is more close to the rule of law that we know. It's not yet going to be what we understand under the rule of law, but it's getting very close. And a lot of it is what we could call the good police, because it's really intended to have stability of the country so that there's no players or actors actually doing strange things which would impact any other consumer or any other competitor from not being able to actually improve in life, improve in their business. And so this is really what it's all about. Something to watch. This is going to be a different story for foreign companies coming to China. So this was a video talking about maybe a different mindset and image that we will get about China. Maybe we will not be talking anymore in the future about privacy. We will not be talking about unfair competition, maybe not as much anymore about consumers not being protected. Lots of things that we are talking about now that we feel China is not doing fair business might change in 2021. Next week, I'm going to talk about another topic, which is really going to be about sustainability. So do subscribe to my channel, share the video to as many people as you can, because I do believe that these laws from today is very important to understand how business is transforming in China today. See you next week for another episode on Pascal's China Lens.